I just wanted to make sure that you listeners are listening to the Drapedomaniac podcast on doayamedia.com. You are, right?
Peace, family, and welcome to this edition of the Drapedomaniac podcast. This is Ayapo Yapa, the HDIC, that is the head Drapedomaniac in charge. And I'm here with my lovely wife, Angela.
Hello.
And we are both here to have conversations on how to get off this plantation. In talking about what subject we will be discussing today, Angela brought up African Liberation Day?
Yeah, I'll talk.
Oh, but very quickly, I
brought up African Liberation Day.
Right, and I didn't seem very excited about it when she said it, but that was only from the standpoint, and I let her know that is because I don't yet know enough about it to speak intelligently about it. But then she said that it was also a general conversation about holidays and the celebration of different holidays or the not celebrating of them and so on. But we'll start off with African Liberation Day, and here's Angela to start things off. I
actually don't want to start with African Liberation Day because I think that the broader conversation is about holy days or what days we choose to celebrate, or what things or what people we choose to celebrate, and about just celebrations and acknowledgement. I talked to people all over the world and helped them with English, and I was talking to a woman, and she said that her dad had passed. I think it was within this year, and she said that they go to the burial site every month. She and her mother and her sister go to the burial site every month. And since I've been watching Asian dramas, I've noticed that a lot of I'm getting the impression that they might have yearly memorials for loved ones. Some of them, I don't know if it's like common for all families, some families, but I've seen that repeatedly. And then on one series, I saw something where there was like a family ancestor day. So the new wife had to go over and help prepare food, and was basically like, had to do like all this free labor for family ancestor day. And then her husband, because he felt bad because she had to do 6 hours of labor, he went and helped her family make kimchi to make up, because they were a contract marriage. But anyway, it just got me thinking about, I think that it kind of fits in with who do we honor, when do we honor them, how do we decide, what we honor and when. I had been thinking about African Liberation Day because I was like, oh, that would be good to kind of talk about it in advance and do some educational stuff and research it. Although it's not something that I know a great deal about. I have gone to lots of African Liberation Day celebrations in Detroit. And the little bit that I know, it comes from maybe like the Organization of African Unity. And it's a day to kind of celebrate or acknowledge. It's not the way that I have seen it celebrated. It seems like African Liberation Day is about how can we get free and themes related to that, and our awareness and our consciousness and, educating ourselves. But it seems like in the context of the Organization of African Unity, it might be a little bit different. When I Googled it, because I think I might have sent you a link, which you probably didn't get because you don't read my emails or anyone's emails, I guess you're going to say.
I read emails. But go on.
They just call it Africa Day. In Detroit, I've always known it as African Liberation Day. But we missed it. I think it was May 26th. And so that day has already passed. But I was talking to a client, and she said, oh, what are you doing for the holiday? And I'm like, what holiday? And then I was like, oh, it doesn't matter because I don't really celebrate holidays. Right. And I told you this in the car. And then you and I were talking, and we realized that, oh, it must be Memorial Day, because I've been seeing advertisements for Memorial Day jewelry, because I had bought a necklace. And so I've been getting all these ads for necklaces. And we were just kind of talking about how a lot in the context of the way that our growing up, or in the context of my growing up, a lot of holidays I think of as commercial holidays. And so not holy days, unless you think of, worshiping at the holy altar of capitalism. But not holy days, but days to spend money. And like, what does me buying jewelry have to do with, if it is Memorial Day coming up, which I think it is, what does that have to do with honoring soldiers? And how would I look as an African person honoring, the people who colonizers and their structures of colonization and terrorism and intimidation and murderation. So that wouldn't even be something that I would be, thinking about celebrating anyway. But I do feel like, as a Black person in this country, this is kind of sort of off the subject, but we feel obligated to call someone officer. We feel obligated to say thank you for your service. We feel there are certain things that we feel obligated to do to show that we're good Americans, or I don't really know, or maybe it's just that I don't think that I feel obligated to do them, but I feel like I've been pressured to, participate in, my own demise. And I feel like holidays are rituals, holy days are rituals. And so I guess it does kind of loop back around to like this ritualization of participating in keeping yourself tied to some BS.
Right.
So that's all I got to say.
Well, for me, and I told you, it's like the pendulum has swung the other way for me, because I used to be a holiday person, whether it was birthdays, 4th of July, which is now 4th of July, Thanksgiving, which is now Misgiving or Thanksgiving, or I used to celebrate Halloween. I was big Christmas, big Christmas person, and just all these holiday, Valentine's Day, Sweetest Days, Hallmark holidays and so on, and that's how I used to be. And now, like I said, the pendulum has swung the other way, where, you could tell me about African Liberation Day or Kwanzaa or Juneteenth and so on, and I'm not even inclined to celebrate those. But that's just because of as I was explaining, that's just the point at which I am right now. I think I'm going to end up resting someplace in the middle, where I once again get a kind of fervor for holidays or holy days that are associated with our people. But for right now, I don't. My sister's birthday just passed, I think, and I forgot it. I didn't know Memorial Day was coming up, but only knew because of the car ads and so. And I just don't pay any attention to them. Every day is just another day to me, and I don't feel any worse for it. I'm not going out trying to buy this and that or whatever. And even with my mother transitioning several years ago, and I know this is going to sound bad, but I try my best not to think about it, because that is extremely painful for me. I try not to think about it.
Why do you think that sounds bad?
Because you should want to remember, your mother. I do remember her. Me and my aunt was talking about her like just over last weekend, but her transitioning just that's just bad for me right now.
The reason that I was asking is because I think I tend to ask, do you want to do something on that day? Do you feel that you would feel comfortable honoring your mother on her birthday?
Well, my sisters and brothers do that same thing.
They honor her on her birthday?
On her birthday, on the day that she transitioned, or the day that she was laid to rest, and so on. But
you don't want to you want to just, when she comes up, just acknowledge, not have any set day when you...
Right, and when I talk about her, I feel good, have a laugh about her, because my mother was a busybody. So she loved giving unsolicited advice. And even that picture that's sitting right there, that already looked like she want to just tell you how you need to live your life. And she was like awesome. Because I make fun of her, like, but she was awesome. I can't really explain it. It hurts that she's gone.
Yeah.
But that said, I'm just saying that to say, I don't like celebrate things in that way. One day I may, but more to what we're talking about. Having been born in the United States, we were just sucked into all this mess and confusion of the 4th of July, Independence Day. Independence for who? Christmas, New Year's, all the Easter, all this stuff. And then as you wake up to it or learn about it, it's just all a bunch of mess, in my opinion. And like I said just a few minutes ago, not celebrating any of these holidays, I don't see myself any worse for it, any worse off for it. Shoot, saving some money, actually.
Well, I think that for me, one of the things that happened is that as I realized that, like, I don't consider myself to be Christian, then it seems like, why would I be celebrating Christmas and Easter?
Right.
So I think those were two holidays that were not really relevant for me. Now, for a while, I went to, it's this brand of churches. I can't remember what it is. Marianne Williamson used to preach it. One in Detroit. Baptist. No.
St. Mattress.
I want to say but you don't like when I say that. Right. But she used to, but she used to, there was this idea that I really appreciate and I really use. Is like she would talk about Resurrection Sunday, and we would talk, like, on that day we would talk about what do you want to resurrect in your life, what has been buried this time, and I just, like, I guess I like the idea. Even when I was a child and I went to Catholic school and I had religion, that was my favorite class. I like ideas. I like concepts. I like, like ideas and concepts related to growth and development and being a good person and our belief systems and our value systems. So that's really exciting to me.
To dovetail with what you're saying real quick, because you made me think that to dovetail with what you're saying, I don't need a holiday to bring you gifts, to buy something for you. I don't need a holiday for me to gather with family.
Yeah, that's the next thing that I was going to say.
So, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that's okay. I mean, so, like, for me, like, getting, like, like Christmas and Easter, if I do celebrate them or celebrate the concept of, birth and rebirth and renewal or, whatever, it's in a more abstract way, not in the context of the way that I grew up. And it's certainly not in the context of buying a new outfit and putting together baskets for people and stuff. And then other holidays, I started to separate from them because I kind of felt like they were commercial. They were consumerism. They were capitalist.
Right.
And, why does someone need to tell me, this is how you honor your mother and this is the day you honor her and you have to buy her flowers, and if you don't buy her a big gift, then you don't love her. I was like, that's some bull, and I protest. I reject that. I
immediately liked it when you said that in the car, where you said, who is somebody to tell you what day to celebrate what and how to celebrate it.
But the one thing, as I thought about getting, like, not participating in how, like, for specifically Mother's Day, it caused me to kind of think about, one, I don't want to be a person who, the only time my mother knows that I love her is because once a year I bring her flowers or buy her luggage or whatever. But I also, so I don't want to do that, but I want to be conscious and intentional in expressing my affection and my appreciation for my mother and other people in my life. So my sweeties, my Valentine, like, I don't want to wait and save up. If I want to get you a gift, I want to get you a gift. If I want to tell you I love you, I'm going to tell you I love you. But I also, so I don't want anyone to tell me that this is the day to do it, but I want to make sure that, like they say, give me my flowers while I'm alive or whatever that little that I'm doing that.
Right.
And I think that in terms of, I think there is something to be said for the value of rituals or the value of holy days or special days, because not to say that you're going to forget your mother but I feel like I think that there is something to be said for days to stop and, give thanks. We were talking about Thanksgiving and mistaking, but days to stop. For me, when I think of Thanksgiving, I think of that season as, checking in with myself to see if I'm expressing gratitude and how can I express more gratitude in my life.
Well, that being said, I have always thought that it was I don't know what word to really use for it. I'll just say I always thought that it was a powerful thing when I see families that have traditions that aren't attached to anybody or anything else. It's that specific family, and a family could just be a husband and a wife, and they just have this tradition of doing X, Y, or Z
because it's significant to them and it's relevant
to them.
And that's why I started off talking about the woman who said that every month on the day her father passed, they go to the gravesite because that's a significant day to them. That's not. It doesn't mean anything, but for their family, that's what they've chosen as a day to honor, their dad or their husband or whatever. And I agree with you. I feel like, I used to watch Seinfeld a lot, and there's this episode about, I think it's called Festival, where he makes up this holiday, or I think Kramer makes up this holiday. I can't even remember now. But the idea of creating things that are relevant for you. When I first heard of Kwanzaa, I was very dismissive of it and very kind of I don't know, the way I heard it was like some made up holiday and what is this? And, it's like, it's not Christmas and they trying to piggyback on Christmas. And there were a few years when I actually celebrated Kwanzaa and my opinion totally changed from the inside looking out versus from, not being ignorant of it.
Right.
And just the idea of my favorite principle of Kwanzaa is Kuchishakali, is self-determination. And I think that this conversation is squarely in that. What are you determining for yourself is significant. And things that have been given to you as significant are, what of those things do you choose to embrace and continue to perpetuate, and what of those things are not for you? Right. So I think it is, I agree, very powerful.
I like the concept of Juneteenth. When I really, and I'm pretty sure that I will, when I really get back to paying attention to holidays, it'll be things like Kwanzaa and Juneteenth and so on. But then when I think about what a particular holiday or celebration stands for, then I could get caught up just in the nuance of it or the minutia of it, because if a holiday is celebrating African liberation or Black liberation or whatever, and within me, I'm like, we haven't been liberated yet. And so I can't in good conscience celebrate it. And it's just like little stuff like that if I start picking it apart, then I might have a issue.
The Drapetomaniac podcast is about escaping. Escaping is a process. Freedom is a process.
Right.
Freedom to me, actually liberation to me, is a daily choice. A moment by moment choice.
You're right.
So
I was just talking about my internal process.
Yeah.
When I'm working through these things, it was like when we were doing the course with the Baba, and everybody was able it seemed to me everybody was so easy to say these African words, and I'm saying African. I know there's
it was Yoruba
because I know Africa's like different countries, but I was having trouble saying them, and I immediately you know how I felt about that, because I was like, they done messed me up. I can't even speak my own language,
and I don't think everybody was having an easy time saying them.
Well, that's why I said to me they seemed like it, because they were doing this so much better than me, and my, in the end, my frustration was,
but anyway,
to me they were, and in the end though, at the end of the day, I was just feeling like these people
had stolen your culture.
Yeah, angry that white people have stolen my culture. I'm like, I can't even speak my own freaking language.
And then I feel like, when you talk about, and we've been having this ongoing conversation, because I pushed back about this idea of there are this many countries in Africa, because I think that the countries are arbitrary lines that were drawn by white people.
True.
And so I'm more and more like, I don't know how to even acknowledge countries, but there were definitely different ethnic groups and definitely different, groups of people and families and communities or whatever.
Right.
So in different languages.
I agree with you on that.
So
they got together and started dividing the country up. I'm like, it's not even your, what are you doing? Or dividing up the continent. I'm like, what are you doing?
And so in terms of, like, if I were to look at the 3 holidays, black type holidays that we've talked about, or holy days or special days, African Liberation Day, Juneteenth, Kwanzaa, which is a 6-day celebration, 7-day. It's a week-long, I think it's a week-long celebration, December 26th to January 1st. I don't know, but anyway. 7 principles. I think it's 7 in Guza Saba. I think Saba is 7. But for me, Juneteenth, I'm like, I don't know if that's even something that I would celebrate, because I feel like it's like a celebration. It's like, where they kept, even after the so-called emancipation was supposed to free us, so-called free us, then they kept us, especially in Texas, but all over the place, they still have kept us enslaved. Right. And then this is the day when we realized we was free. I have kind of like, I like the idea of getting together with black people.
Right.
And I like the idea, a lot of the Juneteenth events that I've been to have been educational and celebratory, and, I enjoy that aspect. But in terms of what Juneteenth represents to me, I think I kind of like that, and then even African liberation.
That's the nuance I talk about.
Yeah.
I was just talking about.
Right, exactly. I mean, so for me, that might not be, it might be something that I would participate, I don't know. But Kwanzaa, I've really, I kind of, even though there's all kinds of stuff around the so-called creator. Is he the creator? Or is this person the creator? Did he steal it from them? Is he a rat? All of this other stuff. But the principles, I love, looking at the principles. I loved in Detroit, when a couple of years ago, it would be like every day a different organization or group would have a day, so that it might be like the African Centered School in Soroma Institute would have a day, and their young people would be running it even when the school was no longer in its existence, and they would get up and say their pledge, and you'd see these people who were like 20 or 30 who still knew their pledge, and they were still connected and still focused on, developing and growing as wholesome, whole African free people.
Right.
And then you'd see one day when the Shrine of the Black Madonna would be doing, their thing. And it was like every different groups had different days. And it was just like, and then the babies, drumming. And it was just like, I loved it. Right. And the conversations and the things to think about, and, what does self-determination mean to you? What does cooperative economics mean to you? What, it was just like, I felt like it really helped me to grow in my consciousness as a black person, and to,
Well, for me, part of my Drapetomaniac process, again, is separating from like these different holidays. Because if you think about holidays, I was thinking about, this may seem off the subject, but I was thinking about Godzilla versus King Kong, and Zack Snyder's Justice League, and Mortal Kombat, and so on. And just the way that, at least in the movie community, you have these highly anticipated, I can't wait to see this. And you have this build-up that can last 1 year to 2 years, waiting for something to come, right? And then it gets there, and you watch it, and even if it's really good, you've watched it, and it's over. And then you're going on to the next hype,
the next big thing.
So I kind of see holidays that way. And as much as I loved Christmas, it was an anticlimactic holiday because the build up to it was better than the thing. Because you get your gifts, you open them, and then the next day everything's just back to normal, and then you start the build up all over again. Whereas I think, especially as a black person, I want to just live life more even, where it's sure I like things that are exciting and so on. I'm a human being, but I don't want to be like on this roller coaster that it's just this constant, you're building up and then going back down, building up, going back down. And so I guess part of the process of separating gets you unplugged from all that, because after you unplug from it, you don't feel this desire to spend a whole bunch of money on it, or this need to spend a whole bunch of money on it. You don't feel bad if you don't spend a whole bunch of money or whatever. And, I'm not going to lie. You live with me. I'm not going to lie. I get gifts for my grandchildren for Christmas, or I'll send some money or whatever. But it really isn't like this big thing. It's just because I know that their parents are still celebrating. I don't want them to feel like, grandma and grandpa and giving them something. Maybe that's wrong, and I'll grow out of that. But
I don't know if it's wrong, but I'm opposed to it because I feel like it's an opportunity for you to share an alternative perspective with them from love. And so I feel like by participating in it, you're perpetuating that this is.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying that's a point. That's one point. I'm just being honest about it.
Yeah,
but it's not.
I mean, it's not
because it's not because I celebrate the holiday. And my children know that.
Your grandchildren just don't know it.
Yeah, my grandchildren, but I'm constantly giving them stuff anyway. The young ones, I'll give them like guitars and iPads, whatever.
I didn't know that. I thought you just gave them birthday money, Christmas money. Oh, that was before.
Yeah, I just give them stuff when I feel like giving them something. Yeah, and so that's why I said before. I don't need a holiday for me to give you something. I don't need a holiday for me to gather or whatever. But once you start separating and unplugging, then you stop feeling the need to invest in it. And it's not just monetarily, but time-wise. Yeah, just time-wise or anything. It's like, see, Memorial Day's coming up. I used to be like, oh shoot, I gotta get the barbecue ready, get something ready for a picnic, get something ready for this and that, or run over to somebody's house. Shoot, I didn't even know the thing was coming. The only thing that I think of when I hear Memorial Day or quote unquote Columbus Day, which I think they wiped that out. But only thing I think about that is it happens on a Monday, so I have to adjust my banking if I was going to do any, or post office or whatever, and that's about it. So that's what that is for me.
Yeah. Now I guess maybe because of the way I celebrated holidays might have been different, from you. But even growing up, like as a child, very early, my mom was like, hey, the day after Christmas, everything, when you go shopping after Christmas, everything is on sale, it's cheaper. So, I don't know. Like,
that's not celebrating the holiday. That's just taking advantage of a deal.
That's being capitalist. But I would feel a little uncomfortable as a young person in terms of, the whole Christmas, because I wasn't really participating in that way, and everybody else, a lot of people around me were, and so I felt like, a little outside of the loop. But I also kind of felt good about, take that $100 and, you don't unwrap nothing on Christmas, but, you get to go and get better stuff after, if that's,
Right.
But for me, it was never like, I can't remember it as like this big, like, roller coaster of like, oh, it's coming, it's so exciting, and then the letdown. So, and I don't have that, I haven't had that experience with like, Juneteenth or, African Liberation Day, probably because I haven't really organized stuff when I'm like if I'm organizing a conference or organizing an event, or organizing a class,
Right.
then it's like, gotta get this, gotta get it, and then after it's over, I don't know if I necessarily experience a letdown as like I enjoyed the relief and like the freedom.
Right.
So for me,
And that's the thing. I might the way that I said it sounds like, you know, when it gets here, then it's a letdown. No, like I said, I used Godzilla versus Kong as an example. Shoot, I enjoyed the crap out of it, and Zack Snyder's Justice. I enjoyed the crap out of it, but after it's over with, it's like, okay.
I can think of 3 big movie events.
Yeah.
When I was in high school, I think Batman must have come out because I remember we went to the movies. I don't even remember the movie, but I remember I had me and my best friend had these glow-in-the-dark black Batman t-shirts. And we got some white tennis shoes, and we were like, and so it must have been for Batman. Mm-hmm. And then I told you one time when a friend was into Star Trek, Star Wars, something. It was some movie,
Right.
And the movie theater was having a showing of the movie. Like if it started on Friday the 12th, they were starting, the first showing was 12 a.m. midnight, and she
Right.
was really into it and wanted to go. So I went, you know, me and this guy I was dating, we went, and it was cool. It was interesting to see
Right.
the people who were so excited about it, but it wasn't exciting for me. And then when Black Panther was coming out, I remember the first post I saw, and they were like, they started casting for Black Panther.
Right.
And I was like, oh, they're doing a movie about the Black Panthers, like the African liberation. And so I was kind of like, my eyes were big, and and then over time I realized, oh, I don't know anything I wasn't aware. So
About the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
The Marvel Cinematic Universe. So, but the build up was so, I got swept up in the build up. Like people were buying theaters out. And I mean, it was like when you talk about something coming like a year or 2 years in
Right.
advance, I felt like I had never, you know, by the time it came, I had read articles. I mean, I was just like, and you know, when I went, it was kind of like, it was good. I mean, I was kind of like, you know, but that's the first time. But then after the fact, I was kind of like, I felt like I had been hustled. Like, wait a second, Disney made all this money. Wait a second, we sitting here crossing our arms talking about Wakanda forever.
Right.
And you done told me some white people wrote, you know, Black Panther. I'm like, wait
Jack
a second.
Kirby and Stan Lee.
I'm like, I felt kind of, and I'm like, I guess a black person directed it and there were black costumers. But when I saw how much money like got spent, like people buying out theaters, people getting special shirts, people were really black people were really that I could see.
Right.
And I'm not even in that
schools
community.
were sending busloads of their children to see this thing.
Yeah, so I felt like I got hustled. So it was
I
like
told
the
you how I
letdown
felt
was
about
like,
the movie.
You felt hustled?
No, I liked it.
Oh yeah, your review. You told everybody how you felt about it.
I mean, I liked it, but after I started thinking about it, I felt the same way about it that you did.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. A lot of this stuff is are hustles, but that's the thing that I appreciate about something like a Kwanzaa or Juneteenth or whatever is I don't feel like it's a hustle. You know, I think like it's a genuine recognition of our people or something pertaining to our people.
But I think in the context of this culture, there's like the way it was created, as I understand it, Kwanzaa specifically, any gifts you give are supposed to be made or else books. You're not supposed to be, but that's my understanding. And even the Kanara is like the candle holder. You could just take some wood and put your candles on it. It's not like you're supposed to be spending a whole bunch. But there are all kinds of people. Kwanzaa kind of it never caught on and whatever. But there are all kinds of people who want to sell you Kwanzaa kits. There's a Kwanzaa clause. A lot of times people feel this thing on the day that you're supposed to give gifts specifically to children, educational gifts. I think that there's like this potential and some pressure to, you know, oh, well, I'm not giving you a Christmas gift, but on Kwanzaa, you're going to get, you know, the same shit you would have got on Christmas. We just calling it a Kwanzaa gift. And that's different to me.
Right.
I
agree. I don't know why this popped in my... Well, I know why this popped in my mind. I was thinking about roots. And the difference between a hustle and a money grab and something that someone does sincerely. The first Roots that came out, I felt like that was, and I wasn't even conscious back then. But now looking back at it, I don't feel like that was a money grab or a hustle. I feel that it was a genuinely what it was. And then they redid Roots.
They redid, or they did part 2?
No, they redid it. They did a new one that I never watched.
I saw
because
part 2.
It seemed like a hustle to me. I saw the first and second part.
Okay.
And then they did like a Christmas episode.
Oh.
A Christmas special of Roots. I'm like, how you do a Christmas?
I never even heard of that.
We have it.
Is it in the black pile for us to take?
I've never watched it. It's in that Roots set.
Is it in the black pile? Did I put it in the... I packed it?
It might be packed up, but yeah.
Wait, I packed it, like put it in those black cases where
but I don't think you put it in the black cases, or you may have. It was in a special box set.
Well, where is it?
It's probably packed away with the... But that being said, I feel like the Christmas one was like this money grab and a hustle. And the new one that they did that was a remake of the first series was a money grab and a hustle to me. And I couldn't even bring myself to watch it. I was like, why mess with it? And they did it right the first time.
I think it's interesting to bring up Roots in the context of this conversation of holidays and holy days, because I feel like as a child, it seemed like it was like a national black holiday or something on the days when it was something that everyone in the community, or a lot of people in the community, were together experiencing. So
it was a beautiful time.
It was?
That show came out and white folks were scared to come out their house.
I wasn't allowed to watch it. I remember I was at my grandmother's house. I was at my grandmother's house, and me and my 2 cousins, and my grandmother was watching it, and we would sneak we were supposed to be in bed, and we would sneak out of the room, and we were standing behind her watching it. And then she would notice us and be like, get back in that bed, and we'd run and get in bed. But we kept trying to sneak and watch. And the next day, I remember there was this there was one boy in the neighborhood, or there was a family in the neighborhood whose father was a photographer, and his shop was called Classic Photos, I think, something like that. And there was somebody made this joke, and they were like, what's your name? And he was like, Classic Photos. And they were like, no, what's your, like this whole thing about how he kept saying Classic Photos instead of Kunta Kinte or Toby or whatever. But it was like and I didn't quite get it, but I knew it was somehow connected to Roots. But I didn't see Roots until I was an adult.
Wow. I saw when it first came out, and the way that you
were a teenager when it came out. Yep. Okay.
And the way that they announced it, I was thinking it was going to be like some dry documentary, and I saw that first episode, and
you were drawn in.
Yeah, it was so well done, and it was pretty raw, and it was the first time on network television that it showed women topless, and they were, they had like their little disclaimer before, but they were like, they were admitting, this is going to be like a raw show, and I watched it all the way through. The second generation, or the next generation, which was that one was okay, but it didn't have the same heart. It didn't feel quite like a money grab, but it kind of was. The first one definitely, to me, just seemed like people trying to tell a story.
And Roots, I can't remember who it was I encountered, but it was someone from another country, and they were like, the book that the most powerful book for me was Alex Haley's Roots. And I was kind of like, Alex Haley's Roots. And I mean, over the years, I've never read the original, the book, but I've been thinking about it because I think in terms of things being co-opted. So I came to know Roots as a TV series. But I think that things getting co-opted and becoming commercialized. So like I would always say or think in my head, I never really said it to Christians, but if I were a Christian and I were celebrating Christmas, Christmas trees would not be part of it. Those types of gifts, that whole commercialized aspect of it would not be a part of it.
Right.
But I think that even, it's like, because I feel like if it's a holy day for me, if it is a celebration of the birth of, my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, is that, whatever, however you say it.
Right.
Then I feel like there's a certain reverence and there's a certain way that I would approach it, which does not seem consistent with the way that it's been co-opted by commercialization.
Right.
And I feel like in this society, so many things get, I feel like we literally were trapped and enslaved and co-opted into commercialization.
I don't know if you remember this, but they used to start doing Christmas ads like at the beginning of December, like or after Thanksgiving, they start doing Christmas ads. Now they're starting to do them in October.
Yep. It's gotten earlier and earlier and
right.
earlier.
I guess soon they're going to be doing them in July.
Yep.
After a while.
Yep.
I mean, it's just...
there is a concept of Christmas in July.
Right.
And as a retailer, it's a good way. And it used to be like, that whole like making money, although it shifted and from a commercial perspective. But
right.
yeah.
So I think when talking about, like the monetization of holidays or whatever, I think Christmas is like the granddaddy of them all.
Granddaddy of them all.
But then you have some like President's Day. They had this commercial where it had somebody dressed up like Lincoln and somebody dressed up like George Washington, and it was a car dealership. It had them rapping. It was actually really good. It was funny. Because I don't know what to. But as I look at it, I'm like, now I'll say this in advance. I feel like the U.S. presidents are all pieces of crap, and Mount Rushmore is a piece of crap, and so on. Okay, I said that said, if I was somebody who really was like believed in America and all this stuff, I bet you're not showing any reverence for these people. Mm-hmm. You got them dancing and rapping and looking like bozos to sell a car. Just so that's the context. But in real life, I couldn't care less. Especially with the discussions we have about Mount Rushmore. I mean, that's deep to me that they purposely built that on sacred ground to do that. That is, I can't even think of a word for it for them to do that, except that when we have discussed this, like they know exactly what they're doing when it comes to energy, when it comes to metaphysics and so on. There is a reason that they put that crap on land that they know is sacred to a people. So I feel a way about that anyway.
Yeah, I feel like that's like a whole
discussion.
Or exploration, or I'm just trying to understand it and process it.
Right.
So I think in terms of holy days, holidays, so I guess from the perspective of drape. So I guess my question would be, if I had a question or invitation, would be, for us, definitely, I like the idea of having specific days that are, even if it's like Family Ancestor Day. And when the African Centered Schools in Detroit would do Halloween is Ancestor Day. And I still, so I like that idea, and have the children talk about their ancestors or whatever. And then when I was in college, we would do Valentine's Day is Black Love Day. And I still like, I like the idea of acknowledging and celebrating certain things. I like having something personal. So what is it that you choose to celebrate, not choose to celebrate? Why? What's personal for you? What? Okay.
Right. My only qualm is like instead of Valentine's Day is Black Love Day, or Halloween being Ancestor Day, or whatever, is that it's still built upon the structure of the other. Whereas I'll say, you know, well,
we're going to celebrate Malcolm X's birthday because he's a bad mamma jamma.
Right. We got to celebrate Malcolm X's birthday. Or we'll celebrate the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's birthday, or, you know, something like that on that day. And then if there is a Black Love Day, it's not February 14th. It could be May 8th. But, it's a counterbalance to traditional Valentine's Day, but it's not built upon the structure of Valentine's Day.
And I think
and removed from it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I agree with that. But when people, so I agree with that.
Right. I know what you.
Yeah. But
see, we have these coherent conversations. Because we so articulate.
We so articulate.
We so articulate.
But I guess, like, in terms of, like, if you look at it in terms of food and people making their transition, for some people, maybe that transition. And, like, for me, I guess at this point, I don't even, like, if somebody's like, Happy Valentine's Day to me, if it's a Black person, I'd be like, Happy Black Love Day to you. Or, you know, like, I just keep it rolling out, you know, or, you know, I don't care. I mean, it ain't that deep for me. But, you know, maybe that's a way for some people to make a transition, just like you could have a veggie burger or a Beyond Burger instead of a beef burger, I guess. I don't know.
Right.
But I'm curious as to whether people have personal holidays in their families or traditions in their families that they celebrate. Oh, speaking of traditions,
but there again, you introduced me to the concept. That's a good concept. It's not like you made it up, but you were like you don't have to always stop something as opposed to just slowly incorporating something else that's better, you know? And then whether it's food or whatever, you incorporate more of what's better. And then eventually, you know, you might just be left with whatever is better.
So you're saying, as opposed to, instead of asking people what holidays they celebrate, ask, well, I don't understand.
Oh, no, I wasn't like saying that attached to anything.
Oh,
I was just saying that as a thought that I had, because that, you know, so when you're born and raised in something, sometimes, depending on the person, it's hard to just stop or whatever. But I think it is more viable to say, you know, well, incorporate this also. And this is this is a good alternative, or this is something better. You know, see how that works for you.
And I think it's personal. Like we were talking about religion. I feel like, you know, what you celebrate is personal, and how you choose to celebrate it. And, you know, like, I feel like if you don't have to stop doing anything. Nobody has to stop doing anything. It's just, I'm glad we got a chance to talk about, you know, holidays and some of our thoughts about it. And, you know, I'd be curious to hear other people's thoughts, and I'm interested, I guess, in dogging out the holidays that are here in this country, but that's not really my interest. It's more, what are some things that you celebrate, and how do you celebrate and acknowledge those things? That
I think there's only one holiday left that I can't seem to let go of. And
my birthday?
No, I don't consider that a holiday.
I consider people's birthdays holidays.
I don't. But
it's like their own personal holiday. It's like the day you were born. I think it's beautiful.
And that's fair. I'm not saying that it's not. I'm just saying I don't think of it like that. No, the one I have the biggest problem really letting go of is
a joke.
Is Groundhog Day.
I knew it was a joke. Why? Why?
Because they bring the little Positani Phil out, and
he gets to look at his
little shadow. I know they look nasty. And then there's Arbor Day.
Arbor Day is celebrating trees, right? Well, it's not. It's probably like something in the environmentalist movement. I don't know the history of Arbor Day, but I bet you they trying to bring a little humanity, or I don't even know if humanity is the word, but a little consciousness to these demons.
Then Earth Day is relatively new.
I talked about Earth Day with my students this year.
Oh, did you? Yeah. So anyway, I guess that's it for me. But you were leaving the listeners with a thought.
I thought I did. What do you?
I think I interrupted before you finished.
Oh, I don't know. What do you celebrate and why? If you want to share that, I would love to hear that.
Right.
And
do you have any family traditions?
Family traditions, yeah. And I like that idea of family traditions, and I like the idea of the family ancestor day. Yeah. So it was just that family there, and they were, I was like, right. Ooh, I kind of liked it.
Yeah, that sounds good. And that's something you can pass on.
And that's something you can pass on.
After you pass on.
After you pass on. There's a song, this is not exactly related, except for one of my students told me that Marvin Gaye's What's Going On was declared by Rolling Stone magazine or somebody as like the top album of all time. Mm-hmm. I didn't even know that was an album. I just knew it was a song, mm-hmm. What's Going On. But when I looked at the list of the album, there was a song called Holy, Holy. And so I was talking to my student. It was holy, like totally, completely holy, like holy, right. Like holy day. But I listened to the Marvin Gaye version and it was okay. But there was this, another sister who passed away from Motown, the preacher's daughter, Aretha Franklin. Uh-huh. Have you heard her version of Holy, Holy? Mm-mm. So everybody go listen to Holy, Holy.
Yeah, I'll have to listen to it. Congratulations, you peaked twice. So
I did. Yeah. I didn't even think I had peaked once.
Yeah.
That means that I got too loud and I broke the soundometer.
All right, it's all right.
All right, babe.
All right, so I guess that's it. I'm going to thank you for the conversation. I always enjoy our conversation. Angela and I talk a lot, and I think not only is communication so important, but I feel so blessed to be married to someone that I can talk to and who I can relate to, and who provides me with different ideas and concepts and helps me to think. And it's like anything else. I don't 100% agree with anything that she says. She doesn't 100% agree with anything, with everything I say. Sometimes I'm right and sometimes she's wrong. You know what I mean? So
it goes both ways.
You're right. You heard what I said, right?
Yes, I did.
That's because when I was young, I used to go to school barefoot in 6 foot snow
with the sun burning down on my back, uphill both ways. 16 miles.
Right, and then when I finally get to school and open up my lunch bag, I'd have a bread sandwich. So young people got it too easy. So anyway,
I like a butter sandwich. I haven't had that.
That's a bread sandwich.
I know, but I like butter sandwich.
You know the bread sandwiches.
It's just 2 pieces of bread.
Yeah. 2 pieces.
Oh, it's just 1 piece of bread?
One piece of cut in half and fold that sucker over. You moisten the inside of it with a little bit of water.
With your
breath. Oh, okay. So, I want you to do one quick, we were so poor.
I don't know that. You do one and I'll try to think of one. I should have had my computer here or my tablet so I could Google something. We was so poor.
Yeah, we was so poor. One time somebody broke into the house and we went out in the living room the next day and they had left us some stuff.
I don't have any, and I didn't grow up. I was gonna say we were so poor that we ain't even have money for the OR. We just poor.
Okay.
All right, so let's go listen to Holy Holy, baby.
Okay. So thank you everybody for listening to this edition of the Draped Maniac podcast. This is Ayapo Yapa, the HDIC. That is the head Draptomaniac in charge, and with my beautiful wife, Angela.
Hello. Or goodbye.
Wishing you peace and blessings, safety, sanity, and security through separation. And until next week at the same time, I finally said it right. Without stuttering.
Yay.
We will see you. I was going to say catch you. We will see you on the run.
Peace out.
And thank you again for listening to the Drapedomaniac podcast. Tune in next week at doiamedia.com. DOEAIAMEDIA.com. And again, we'll catch you on the run. Peace.